because, funnily enough, Reece James signing a new 5-year deal. Let's stay with Chelsea. One of the most controversial decisions of the weekend on the field of play came in the match between Chelsea and West Ham United, and that's maybe partly why the Premier League is to seek a review with the PGMOL of controversial VAR decisions following any weekend. Now, of course, there were a whole bunch of them over the weekend. The one in particular at Stamford Bridge was at the very end of the match when West Ham were denied an equaliser, with Corney's goal ruled out with a foul adjudged from Bowen on Mendy. Before we get your take on it, Graeme, David Moyes said post-match, this is a dreadful decision.
It's difficult to talk about the game, isn't it, when you see such a rascally bad goal against you. It's just unreal. If that is the elite level of refereeing, then I think, and maybe the elite level of people going to VAR, if that's where we're at, then it's probably people who've never done it, don't understand the difference, between a challenge. And we're actually in an era at the moment where we said that we're going to have a few more tackles, things were going to go. I could not believe it. The amount of times I've looked at it, I cannot believe the referee could even have considered that being a penalty, not giving a goal. It's beyond belief, and getting sent to VAR was so bad. Ridiculous decision by the referee.
So that's what David Moyes thinks, and his captain Declan Rice on Twitter described the decision as, quote, up there with one of the worst VAR decisions made since it's come into the game. Shambles. Now, we've news this lunchtime for Messrs Moyes and Rice, because, Graeme, you now tell me you think, having looked at it again and again,
I would
it was
ask,
the right decision.
Yeah, this is my take on it. First of all, he stumbles. Jared Bowen stumbles prior to going for this ball. When he gets to the goalkeeper, Mendy, he's actually on his right foot is showing 6 studs to the goalkeeper. Now that, for me, is endangering the goalkeeper. It's not like I'm trying to jump over him. It's a different kind of movement action altogether. I think he's shown 6 studs towards the goalkeeper with his right leg, and Jared Bowen has no history of looking to hurt people, and I think maybe the reason that happened was because he has a stumble prior to him setting off before he gets to the goalkeeper. So for me, I think the referee got it right.
So they were right to deny the goal?
Yeah, I mean, people will focus on his trailing leg catching Mendy, and Mendy rolling over and holding his shoulder. But I think it's more to do with his right foot, where he's showing 6 studs in the collision.
Can I just ask, why are we focusing on VAR rather than the on-field referees being able to have the capability of making decisions themselves and pushing back like Michael Oliver did, and rather than just accepting what seems to be trotted out? Now, we're categorising everything as VAR. VAR is just a tool. It's just a tool to be used. It doesn't alter the parameters of what the referee on the pitch feels. If the referee on the pitch is lacking in so much leadership characteristics or solidity of his own opinion, then you're talking about the referees on the pitch rather than VAR. VAR is just a tool.
VAR is a tool, Simon, to make life easier for referees. But unfortunately, it's embarrassing referees. It's showing some referees up for not really understanding the game of football too well. I mean, I can't. I look at something. I'm not saying I think I'm like every other guy who's played professional football. You look at something in real time, and you're almost more. I would say 9 times out of 10, I'm right with what I say to myself when I see something. These guys have the benefit of looking at different angles, at slowing it down, and they still get it wrong. And this thing this morning was that Hackett's come out and said, you've got to get ex-pros involved. You must get them involved. We are operating. Say we comment on the Premier League, mostly the best league in the world, the most watched league in the world, the most exciting league in the world, but we haven't got the best referees. Simple as.
Who are the best referees then?
I don't know. It's not something I watch a great deal of. I know that I think I'm right in saying, did we have any referees at the last World Cup?
We did, yes.
How many?
We dealt with the Christian Eriksen situation. I think it was Anthony Taylor, wasn't it, who dealt with that? But
the last World Cup.
Oh, sorry, last Euros. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, did we have any over? No, I don't think we did. Did we? I think you might be right, Graeme. Yeah, I think you might be right.
We have a duty of care. These referees have a duty of care because I wrote a book about 5 years ago, and I dedicated a chapter to it where I said referees have such a big part to play in the continuing health of the Premier League. It's a great product we have. You've got to look after that, and you've got to improve on that. And if they go down the road of blowing the whistle all the time, we become like every other league, and then the money will not be in it over
We saw
a decade of time.
We saw statistics that referees get it right about 97% of the time. So we're factoring in a 3% margin where they get it wrong, and we're highlighting that.
When are you going to get it right? What you
the
think?
decisions that they make.
Well, I don't see you can say you're talking about offsides.
Well, but based upon statistics that are produced.
See, statistics are everything. You're saying 97% of
of referee interventions are right.
So that's fouls.
Whatever it is.
No, but you can't. That's
But
subjective.
I suspect that
That's
they're probably
subjective.
talking about goal involvements. But when we look at it and say, what is it you expect ex-pros to do? First of all, is it a career that ex-pros want to do? Second of all, when you get into a situation where you've got to make a decision, VAR is suggesting, this is my understanding, and I may be wrong, VAR is telling the referee on the field to have a second look. What stops that referee from having the ability to still have the courage of his convictions and
Which
say...
is what Michael
like
Oliver did at the
did.
weekend.
No, I don't care what you're telling me to do.
Yeah.
I've seen what I've seen. I've also factored into the thinking that this is slowed down, so I've also factored it into the equation. I'm happy with my on-field decision. What is stopping people from doing that? I tell you what's stopping people from doing it: a lack of leadership within the game of referee. And you're not going to fix that by bringing ex-pros in, because half the ex-pros aren't leaders by definition anyway.
You are going to eliminate a lot of the arguments that people talk about every Monday morning.
Oh, really? So they will have you in here as a former elite player telling that a League One player that's now got a League One experience can't possibly equate to a Premier League player. There'll be an argument for everything, Graeme.
While we're talking about it, we have to improve on what we've got. You can't just say, accept what we've got. Right now, there's call after call every weekend where they get it wrong. After looking at it, by slowing it down and looking at it from different
angles. But
angles.
that'll just move, Graeme. It's moved from not having VAR to referees being criticised to now criticising VAR. So whatever you put into football, whatever you put into, there'll be criticism.
Of course there will be.
You put players into Stockley Park, and there'll be different levels of players. You put a different level of player, there'll be that level of player. Whatever it is, people just cannot accept that in your line of work, my line of work, people make mistakes. Referees are not allowed to. They're not allowed to.
You're saying, and you're getting lambasted by many this lunchtime for saying that it was the right decision at Stamford Bridge, that Connie's goal should not have stood. So in the Times today, Henry Winter, commenting on what Declan Rice said, it's a shambles. Henry says nobody could argue with that except those involved in amateur hour at Stockley Park. There was no foul, says Henry Winter.
Henry Winter, sorry.
You played the game at the highest level, and you're telling us there was.
I would say it's not even a grey area. I was working at Sky at the weekend doing the Villa and Man City game, and I'm looking. There's a screen. It's a split screen. There's games, so I'm only looking at a small picture of that incident on a screen at Sky Sports on Saturday.
Yeah,
and from 30 feet away, I'm looking at that, and I wasn't concentrating on it. I wasn't looking at the replays. My first reaction: he's led with his right foot. He showed his studs to Mendy. That is endangering opposition.
But you're in the minority, aren't you? Because a lot of other pros are coming out and saying precisely different to you, diametrically opposed, centre forwards that play in that position, which you don't.
Yeah, I would ask then, if they were sitting in the room right now, I would say, does he lead? Does Mendy see six studs coming his way? Simple question. Is that a yes or a no?
Well, yes. At the time, yes.
So that makes it dangerous play in my book. He's endangering opposition.
Did Mendy make the most of it?
100%. It wasn't his right foot. It was his... People, I think, have focused on his left foot, his trailing leg. As I said, Jared Bowen has no history of going out to try and hurt someone. I think there's a stagger from Jared Bowen prior to him making a move towards the ball, and I think that's caused him to maybe lead. It's not a natural way of jumping over someone.
So you see the other side of the argument. So then the referee has to have some degree of exoneration, doesn't he? Because you've got a raft of people suggesting that absolutely this is not what it's been given, and it should be a legitimate goal. You're on the other side of the argument. So the referee, what chance has he got? What chance has he got? By your logic.
I think if there'd been some pros, I don't see how a pro could see it any differently.
I mean, there's Neil and Cheltenham. Graeme saying get pros involved. When you said it was a foul on Mendy, you're having a laugh, surely.
I'm not. It's not the foul on Mendy. It's the endangering. He's let a simple question again. I'll come back to it. The goalkeeper's coming out, and he sees Jared Bowen six studs. That is dangerous play. You can hurt someone. It's a straight leg, six studs. It's not a natural movement Jared Bowen is making when he tries to jump over Mendy.
And I don't disagree
with you.
And
I think it's because he staggers. If you watch, he staggers prior to his movement towards the ball.
So why are all these other pundits, and there's lots of them queuing
up?
Well,
I don't know. I don't read newspapers.
Shearer, well, come on. We all watch television. Shearer, Ian Wright, all that, absolutely on it and across it and over it, right? So why? Just lazy punditry, looking at a different game to you.
You mentioned two two goal scorers there.
But that's my
Two
point.
outstanding goal
Precisely.
scorers.
Well, listen, I tell you what, we'll go into the break on that very theme because VAR, not for the first time, being hammered. But I mean, to be honest, how constructive are comments like this? Ian Wright, bin it. Jeff Stelling, man I know very well. Well done, VAR. It's a total shambles as it's been from its inception. Alan Shearer, what a load of crap. Gary Lineker, it goes on and on and on. Nigel de Jong, Michael Owen. But it's here to stay. No matter what, it's here to stay. We'll look at that next.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.